ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदादतं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः। Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, the Gospel of Ramakrishna, the second meeting of the Master with Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna is asking M, the recorder of the Gospel, Mahendranath Gupta, what kind of wife do you have? Is your wife a Vidya Shakti or Vidya Shakti? Sri Ramakrishna used to describe two kinds of Shakti. Avidya Shakti leads you away from God, Vidya Shakti leads you towards God. That wife which constantly demands sensuality and worldly pleasures and gifts from the husband is Avidya Shakti, whereas that wife who helps the husband to move towards spirituality, God vision and higher spiritual sadhana is the Vidya Shakti. So, Sri Ramakrishna is asking M, what kind of wife is yours? Is she a Vidya Shakti or is she Vidya Shakti? M says he is unable to understand the terms Vidya Shakti and Avidya Shakti, but he says, oh, she is good but ignorant. Agya bhalo kintu agyan. Sri Ramakrishna virakta huiya, aar tumi jnani. Sri Ramakrishna, with tremendous irritation, says, and you were a man of knowledge. M records very sincerely, ज्ञान काहा के बोले अज्ञान काहा के बोले एखोनो तिनी जानेन ना एखोनो पर्यन्त जानितेन जे लेखापড়া শিখিলে ও বই পড়িতে পারিলে জ্ঞান হয় এই ভ্রম পরে দূর হইয়াছিল তখন শুনিলেন যে ঈশ্বরকে জানার নাম জ্ঞান ঈশ্বরকে না জানার নামই অজ্ঞান ঠাকুর বলিলেন তুমি কি জ্ঞানী মাস্টার অহংকারে আবার বিশেষ আঘাত লাগিল Simply translated, it means what is jnana and what is ajnana, what is knowledge and what is ignorance. M. Mahendranath Gupta did not quite know at that time. Up to that time, his impression, his conception was, if you are educated formally, school, college, university, and if you read a lot of books, then you gain knowledge. Later on, this delusion was removed and he learned that knowledge of God alone is called knowledge and not realizing God is ignorance. And when Sri Ramakrishna snubbed him, and you were a man of knowledge, M's egoism got a special jolt and was dented. You should see here two important things. One, how enlightened Master Mashe have been. He is a Parshada of the Lord, he is a recorder of the Lord's teachings, like Ganesha. So how blessed he must have been how elevated he must have been to immediately realize the implication of what Sri Ramakrishna was saying. Knowing God alone is knowledge, and not knowing God is ignorance. When Sri Ramakrishna snubs him, the second thing to note, he could introspect and know himself that his egoism was crumbling. There is something called egoism within every one of us which doesn't quite want to get snubbed. If somebody snubs us, particularly in the presence of everybody else, we immediately react terribly. What? I know. And in the presence of everybody, you have said this. Oh, you want to insult me? You want to snub me in the presence of everybody? The ego is a terrible serpent. Like a cobra, it immediately takes it and snubs. What is this egoism? Where does it where is it located? What is its locus? Nobody knows. It's like a Rakshasa or a demon or a Bhuta, ghost, which moves from place to place according to convenience. When you identify with the body, it's the I, the body. The ego identifies with the mind, the ego identifies with the intellect. Somebody criticizes my book, immediately I say, what? You don't understand anything. My book and me are connected. I means the intellect. Somebody criticizes my spirituality. Oh, you're a sadhu. I know. What kind of sadhu you are? What kind of monk you are? Immediately my spiritual egoism comes up and says, what? You criticize my sadhuhood. You can watch yourself. This is a very, very important spiritual practice which we should learn from the Kathamrita and from Master Mahashaya M. When Sri Ramakrishna said, Ore Ramlal, he is married. Ore Ramlal, he has children too. Then he says his ahankara got a severe jolt and a blow. What does it mean? Not that marrying is bad, getting children are bad. It means that you claim yourself to be highly enlightened, but you have people on whom you depend and who are made to depend on you. Carefully consider this. The moment you have dependency on people, on things, anything outside of you, you are a slave. And no slave can be free, and unless you are free, you cannot be spiritually illumined. So this equation has to be clearly understood. You may not be married, but still you may be attached to something, somebody. People who are not attached to people, attached to things. They are attached to their place of stay. They are attached to their books, they are attached to their knowledge. Every attachment brings in dependency, and every dependency leads you to slavery, and slavery leads you to bondage, and bondage and liberation are just the opposite of each other. This is the lesson. When Sri Ramakrishna snubbed him for being caught in the family, it means you have people who depend on you and on whom you depend. Of course, each one of us has to depend on somebody for a physical needs. I become old, I can't walk properly, somebody walks me, somebody feeds me. That's a natural physiological process of aging. But do I need anybody for my emotional well-being? That's what we do. On our children, on our parents, on our friends and our lovers. Somebody has to love me, somebody has to be attached to me, And we feel very happy somebody is attached to me. My son, my wife, my husband is so much attached to me. He can't live without me. Is it good? Is it a dangerous thing? Because ultimately everybody has to move away from everybody else. That is life. I'm not frightening anybody. I'm only stating, be with everybody, love everybody, take care of the welfare of everybody, serve everybody, but don't be emotionally attached so as to be an emotional slave. Nobody in the world should be able to play with you, blackmail you, saying that I will leave you now. Unless you are attached to me, do this, do that. I am free, and therefore I depend on none else for my happiness. This is Swami Vivekananda's statement in a letter. We are all free beings, and somehow we think we need to be attached. Then should you not be attached to your wife and children? Of course, but without any emotional strings attached. Emotionally don't get hooked on. Perform your duties. Take care of your children, your husband, your wife, with complete detachment. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, live in a world is like a mudfish. A mudfish lives in the mud, but he is not attached, smeared by the mud. Live in the world like a servant maid in a rich man's place. Bado badir jhi, he says in Bengali. There are certain women who stay in the household, they are part of the household, they may be paid servants. Year after year they stay, the children grow up in the lap of this woman, and the child which belongs to the household, the owner's household, she takes the child and then my Rama, my Hari, how she fondles the child as if the child is her very own. Sri Ramakrishna says, but she knows in her heart of hearts that the child is not hers. Her child is there somewhere at the village from which she came for work. We have come into this world as foreigners. The first song which Swami Vivekananda sang, Narendranath. Mon chalo nij niketane সংসার বিদেশে বিদেশীর বেশে ভ্রম কেন কারণে মন চলো নিজ নিকেতনে. O mind, go back to your own abode. Why are you roaming about in this foreign land, wearing the dress of a foreigner? You don't belong here. This world doesn't belong to you, and you don't belong to the world. You belong to the supreme realization, to the abode of the indivisible Satchidananda. In the Bhakta's language, you belong to Lord, you belong to God, you are His child, and you say that I am so-and-so's child, I am the son of so-and-so, she is my mother, he is my father, and so on. Should you not say that? You should. But you know in your heart of hearts, nobody belongs to you. Is it hypocrisy? Many people have questioned this. I behave as if I have great love, but inwardly I know I have nothing for anybody. Is it brutality? Is it selfishness? Is it or using the other people at the same time completely leaving them in the lurch? No. It means you are devoted to the truth of complete aloneness. The first statement by Sri Ramakrishna, in which he expressed apparently his displeasure at M getting married and getting children, should be understood in a very careful way, with tremendous discernment, insight. What he means is that your wife and children that you have ultimately are not yours. You belong to a God's family. You are also God's child as much as they are. A person who gets hooked on, attached, does not know that ultimately he has to leave all of them. So M's ego got a blow. When does ego get a blow? When the hook on which it hangs is cut away. My child, my wife, my son, when the son does not care for you anymore, when the wife and husband fall apart, emotionally estranged, then your ego gets a terrible blow. Ego gets a blow when you realize the truth of aloneness. This is something we need to practice. Be alone, be alone. Coronavirus, this deadly COVID-19, Mahishasura, Raktabija in one, has taught us very clearly the beauty and the necessity of being alone. Who knows? Once again there may be a lockdown in which we will be confined. Who knows? We don't know. But even if there is no lockdown, we have been repeatedly advised and told, please do not go out and mingle too much. Stay put where you are. Isolate yourself as much as possible. Why? Because of the virus. Vedanta tells you, Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, Gospel of Ramakrishna tells you, this is the virus of worldliness. The virus of Vishaya Buddhi. Mind which is attached to worldly things. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Moha, Matsarya. The 6 ripus, Shada Ripu, 6 enemies. Aloneness means internally you feel free and unattached. When you are unattached, you are so completely free. Even if you imagine for a moment, I am alone, I am free, so much of joy you get. This is called the idea of Atma Arama. Atma Arama, Atma Arama. Arama means rest, peace, tranquility. You get great joy and peace in being with your own self, Atma. It's called Atma Krida, sporting in one's own self. Atma Rata, delighting in oneself. Atma Priyananda, beautiful name which my Guru gave me. I am totally unworthy of this name, but this is to remind me, just be happy, rejoice in your own higher self, which is the most beloved. The greatest beloved object is your own self, Atma. So, Priyatva, belovedness is the Atman. Atma Krida, Atma Rate Kriyaman, Esha Brahma Vidam Varishtaha. Mundakopanishad. Yastu Atmaratireva Syad Atmatriptascha Manavaha Atmanyeva cha santushta tasya karyam na vidyate. Bhagavad Gita. The idea of Atma Rama, Atma Krida, Atma Rata is extremely important in Vedanta and spiritual life in India. In the West, you always need a companion. You need a friend, girlfriends and boyfriends and your friends socializing. Otherwise, you are called abnormal. If a person doesn't socialize, doesn't talk much with other people, he keeps to himself, he studies, meditates. Oh, there's something wrong with him. Of course, something is wrong. Because when you do not follow the pattern of worldly people, they call you something wrong. The Brahmo Samaj people once talked about Sri Ramakrishna as being crankish, off his head. Sri Ramakrishna smiled and said, by constantly thinking of worldly things, you are all very sane. And by constantly thinking of consciousness, which is the essence of supreme sanity and joy, I have become insane. And he also said, everybody is mad. Somebody is mad after money, somebody is mad after position, somebody is mad after woman, somebody is mad after power. For a change, let me be mad after God. Why not? For winning an election, how mad people can be. Let them be. That's one way. But why do you criticize a person who is mad after God? Worldly people just can't bear. You know why? That's because they feel insecure. Unless the worldly people pull you down to their level, get you to get attached to them and completely get confused, they'll not be happy. How wonderful Mahamaya is. Two sons of a mother. The elder son gets married, goes abroad, and slowly forgets the mother, moves away. And the wife is such a terrible lady, she will not allow the husband to be kind to the mother. I can't live with your mother anymore. If you want her, you stay with her, I will walk away. This poor man, caught between the mother on the one hand and the wife on the other, is miserable. So ultimately he gives up the mother. The mother cries and cries. Oh, how much I did for you, my child. But still the mother's heart says, you may not want me because you are infatuated with your wife, but I have nothing but pure love for you. It goes on, the mother lives alone, she gets adjusted, she is happy. Then the second son slowly grows up. The second son tells the mother, Ma, my elder brother went away, he doesn't care for you anymore. This is life. So I will be with you, I will take care of you till the end of your life. I am much younger than you are. So I will take care of you in the old age. We will be together. And I am earning well. So let's be happy. I will take you to places of pilgrimage. I will do all possible things to make you happy, peaceful in your old age. You know what the mother says? Mother should be happy. But they say, oh no, how is it possible? You should marry. Unless you marry, I feel so unhappy. You should marry. I want some grandchildren. I want this, I want that. And the young boy says, Mother, you suffered so much. When my elder brother went away, did not care for you. Who knows, my future wife also may do the same. Who knows, my mind also will change. Again, why do you invite trouble? You have suffered once. Why do you want to suffer again? The mother says, that is true, but all marriages may not be like that. Even if it is like that, anyway, it's my karma. But I have to see you getting married. What kind of Maya it is? That's why he says, M's ego got a blow when Sri Ramakrishna snubbed him. Oh, you're married, you have children. Not that he was condemning marriage and children. Many people misunderstand. Sri Ramakrishna had the greatest compassion for worldly people, for householders. He used to care for them. He used to kindly treat them. He used to say, both of you, husband and wife, after some time begin to think of God and bring up your children with certain values. He had so much of kindness for the householders. Do not mistake that he was angry or unhappy with M for having married and having begotten children. No. What it means is that emotionally getting attached to the members of your family and making them get attached to you, beware of this. This naturally comes and you normally say, oh, isn't it natural? This is another argument which people give. You say so much about getting involved in the world, the wife and children, but isn't it natural that a husband will be attached to the wife and vice versa, and the parents will be attached to the children? Of course it is natural. And remember, all of us here studying this great text, the Kathamrita, the Gospel of Ramakrishna, are sadhakas and sadhikas. We are mumukshus. We are seekers of the supreme truth or realization or liberation. So, we can't be natural. We have to go beyond nature. We have to transcend nature. We go beyond. We have to conquer nature, as Swami Vivekananda said. Each soul is potentially divine. Swamiji's famous statement in the Raja Yoga. The goal is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. Do this either by work or worship or philosophy or self-control. By one or more or all of these, and be free. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines and dogmas or temples or books or forms are but secondary details. Conquer nature, the inner nature and the outer nature, which is the body. Gross, subtle, still more subtle. Man has to conquer nature. You can't be a slave of nature and say, oh, it is a natural thing. Nothing is natural. You can't be natural in the spiritual world. You have to go beyond nature. First, crushing of the ego. Second crushing, when M said, my wife is good but somewhat ignorant. Sri Ramakrishna snubs him. Darpahari, as great snubber. We can think of Ramakrishna, Avatara, as a great snubber of the ego. Powerful snubber. Crushes the ego. This is the meaning of Kaliya Damana. Sri Krishna danced and the raised hood of Kaliya, the serpent, and completely crushed it. That means the Kaliya is a representative of the egoism. Ego comes with Sahasrapani, 1,000 hoods it comes, and then it constantly rises in you. But every little thing, when people praise you, the ego is so happy. There you go. When somebody says something, not even against you, which you do not like, immediately react. And use words which you do not know why you are using them. immediate krodha comes to you, moha comes to you. This is the power of the ego. And here is the avatara crushing M's ego, because M was to be his eternal Parshada, the recorder like Ganesha. Master Ahankare abar Visesh Aghat Lagilo. Second crushing of the ego. Ramakrishna. Acha, tomar shakare vishwas na nirakare? This is a standard question which Ramakrishna used to ask everybody to find out their spiritual growth. How much you have grown inwardly. To assess that, he used to ask certain leading questions. He is asking, what do you believe in? In God with form or a formless God? Master avak huiya swagato. M is thinking within himself, soliloquizing, Shakare Vishwas thakle ki Nirakare Vishwas hoy. Ishwar Nirakar, e Vishwas thakele, Ishwar Sakar, e Ishwar ki hoite pare. Viruddha avastha duti ki sotto hoite pare. Sada jinesh, dud ki abar kal hote pare. Dumbfounded, avak huiya, stunned into silence, M is thinking within himself. Look at the dialogue which he is talking to himself, soliloquizing. If somebody have faith in Sakar, a God with form, is it possible that he can have faith in God without form? If somebody has great conviction that God is formless, can he ever believe God has a form? Can these two states, formless and formful, of God, can be true at the same time? How can a white liquid like milk be black at the same time? Completely confused. One simple question by Sri Ramakrishna. Then he answers, Agya Nirakar. Amar eti bhalo lage. M says, Sir, well, I like God without form. I like to worship the formless God. Sri Ramakrishna, Tabesh. Ektate Vishwas thakli holo. Nirakare Vishwas. Tato bhaloi. Tobe, look at the words. E buddhi korona je, eiti keval sotto ar sob mithya. Eiti jeno je, nirakaro sotto, abar sakaro sotto. Tomar jeti vishwas, সেটাই ধরে থাকবে. This is the most profound statement in the gospel on which volumes can be written. Don't put any limitation to God. That's the main essence of this. Don't say God is this and not that. He can be this and can't be that. Thakur used to say, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Tini Shakar, Tini Nirakar, Shakar Nirakarer Pare, Aro Koto Ki. He is with form, he is without form, he is beyond form and formlessness, and how many more things besides. Which means, you can't say God is this and put a full stop there. God is with form, period, full stop. God is without form, full stop. Don't say this. You can say God is with form, but do not say that He can't be anything besides. Ishwarer anantattva iti korona. Iti means this, full stop. Don't limit the infinitude of God. the infinite and the absolute, the majestic, the vast, can never be limited. The unlimitedness of God, the infinitude of God, can never be confined into a small conception of the human mind. Sri Ramakrishna used to give an example, which is there in the Jain philosophy also, of blind men looking at the elephant. Several blind men saw the elephant and they wanted to find out what kind of an object the elephant is. So they have to touch and feel and find out what the elephant is. One blind man touched the feet or the legs of the elephant and said, "Oh, the elephant is like a big, huge pillar." The second man quarreled. "No, it is like a big fan. It touching the ears of the elephant." The third man said, "Both of you are wrong. Elephant like a big brush touching the tail." And the next man says, "No, it's like a big pipe." Look at the trunk of the elephant. And huge quarrel ensued. Elephant is like a pipe. Elephant is like a fan. Elephant like a brush. It is a pillar. You are wrong. I have seen. I have realized. Then a person with eyes came on and said, "Why are you quarreling?" "Sir, I say elephant like a fan, but he says elephant like a pillar." "Oh, you are right. He is also right. He is also right. He is also right. How can all these things be right at the same time?" They are right because elephant is like a pillar, but do not say he cannot be anything else besides this. Elephant is like a fan, but do not say he can't be anything else apart from this. Elephant is like a brush, but do not imagine that it can't be anything else. Because every one of your perceptions by the human mind of the infinite reality is only a partial understanding. This is an extremely important point to understand. The very first page of the Gospel contains this truth, which is Sri Ramakrishna's fundamental discovery and teaching. Don't be fanatical about God. Don't be fanatical about anything for that matter. Even in human interactions. I have some idea of a person, and we seeing him in a particular attitude, particular situation and instance, we make comments. Oh, that fellow, he always gets angry. I have seen him get angry only once. Oh, that fellow, he is a great scholar. Maybe one or two things he quoted and you liked it. So we quickly jump to conclusions about a person without having understood the whole of that person, and nobody can fully understand anybody. Even our own selves. My own body I don't know fully. My own mind I can't understand fully. What to speak of other bodies and other minds? Our understanding is limited. It can't be unlimited. What to speak of the infinite reality called God? How many examples Ramakrishna gave? Very telling example. One more. He says an ant went to a sugar hill. A small tiny fellow, an ant. It is walking to a sugar hill and picks up a grain of sugar and eats it. Its little stomach is already full. Takes one more grain in his mouth and coming back, while walking, he looks back. Oh, next time on, I will take the whole hill and put it into my little hole. What a beautiful telling picture, imagery. That is Ramakrishna's genius. Not only spiritual genius, but the genius of making a point come before your eyes so clearly, so tangibly, and so picturesquely. How many grains will a sugar hill have? Can you tell us? millions of grains will be there in a sugar hill, and this little fellow, having eaten one and taking one more back, says, I will take the whole thing. This is the infinitude of God. How much can you need? No. Sri Ramakrishna therefore says, a little of God's taste and glory fills you, be satisfied with that. Aam khete escho, aam khao. Koto pata ache, koto sob gachgulete, koto gach ache, gune ki hobe. You have come here to the mango orchard to eat mangoes. Eat mangoes, your fill, and be happy. Don't count how many trees are there, how many leaves are there in the tree, how many mangoes are in the garden. Don't waste your time. We are satisfied with just having a taste of God, and that's enough for us. Another example he gives. Even Shukadeva, such a great saintly soul in Ishvara Koti, he is also a big ant. Shukadeva perhaps could eat 3 or 4 more grains than we can, or maybe he took a few hundreds, but he is also a big ant. He can't exhaust God, the infinity. He says, Ramakrishna says, Satchidananda is a huge ocean. The supreme reality is a big ocean. In some lore, it is stated that Shukadeva just touched the water. He did not saw it from a distance, he did not even touch. And Devadideva Mahadeva, the supreme God, Shiva, just sipped 3 times and completely become unconscious, became Shava. How much water is there in the sea? Just sipping thrice, small quantity sipping, and he lost consciousness. Can anybody understand the whole of God? He gives another example. All in the Kathamrita. Kathamrita is so full of wonderful examples and imageries. You meditate in each of them. Close your eyes and meditate. An ant is going to a sugar hill. Ant is you, ant is me. The jivas are like small ants. And in our case, we don't even go to the sugar hill. We can't even digest one small sugar grain. What to speak of the whole here, the other grains. Meditate. Think of us as going to the infinite Satchidananda. That gives you humility. That crushes your ego. How much can we know? He gives another example. Sri Krishna is called Shodashakala Purna Avatara. Some people are Amsha Avatara, Kala Avatara, one portion. But here is Sri Krishna. He is God himself. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He is the Purna Avatara. He is the supreme deity. Arjuna was praising Sri Krishna. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Paramam Pavitram Bhavan, etc. In the Gita it is there. And when he saw the Vishwarupa, the infinitude of God, he was so charmed and so delighted, at the same time extraordinarily frightened. Bhita Bhita Pranamya is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. He was so terribly afraid that he said, Oh Krishna, I do not know what you are. I bow down to you from the front, from the behind, going round and round. Does anybody bow down to anybody from behind? He was so confused and so frightened. Then went on praising Sri Krishna, you are so big, you are so good, etc. Then Krishna called him to his side and said, Oh Arjuna, Now let us go, I'll show you something very interesting. They went to a forest. Then Krishna showed him a tree and said, you go and see what is there in the tree. So many gooseberries, jam, as a kind of fruit. Then so many gooseberries are hanging there. No, go and see closely. Every gooseberry was a Sri Krishna. Thola Thola Krishna. Heaps and heaps of Krishna, hundreds of thousands of them are hanging from the Akshara Vriksha, the imperishable supreme reality. Each Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. So what about that Akshara Vriksha? Who knows? Who can find out? That shows never limit God by your conception. Never think God is this and cannot be that. Your human conception is so limited, so circumscribed and so small. And human beings quarrel. My conception of God is right, your conception is wrong. I believe God is form, you believe God is no form. Go on quarreling. Like the elephant story. I believe the elephant like is a fan, you believe the elephant like a brush. Somebody else believes the elephant is like a pillar. Is everybody wrong? No, everybody is correct, but they're not fully correct. They are partially correct. Tabesh, good if you have faith in God without form. It's good that you have faith in one of them, that's enough. You have faith in God without form, oh, that's true, that's good. But do not have this understanding or feeling that this alone is true and everything else is false. Know this to be sure that God with form is as true as God without form. Formless God is true, and again God with form is also true. And whatever you have faith in, stick to that. Take hold of that and progress. M was completely confused and his ego got a terrible blow because the intellectual superiority and arrogance which educated people have is terrible. He has not got this conception from any book and is so proud of his knowledge. See how frankly he is expressing this for our sake. Master Dvishatto ei kotha bar bar shuniya abak hoyara roilen. Listening about the equal reality of both God with form and God without form from Sri Ramakrishna, M was dumbfounded, completely perplexed, amazed and aghast. এই কথা তো তাহার পুঁথিগত বিদ্যার মধ্যে নেই. This statement was not found in the books that he had read or studied so far. Unless you read books, you are not learned or educated. That's the conception. The conception normally, particularly those who are educated in the Western way, the Macaulay way, we think that you read a lot of books, then only you are educated. Even in spiritual life, many people say, oh, you people read a lot of books. Have you read this? Have you read that? One person came and told Swami Bhuteshananda ji, he was an extremely enlightened, sweet, calm, witty, very sharp intellect and a very big heart. We had blessed occasion to interact with him so many times. He was the president. After Swami Gambhirananda, he was the 11th president. Swami Bhutesham, the 12th president of the Ramakrishna order, Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission. Once one person came and told him, "Oh Maharaj, I have read this, I have read that. Have you read that book, Maharaj? My latest book has come," and so on. Bhuteshanji smiled and said, in his own inimitable, sweet, slow language, "আমি বাপু তোমাদের মতন প্রচুর বই তো পড়ি নাই, কিন্তু যেটুকু পড়েছি খুব ভালোভাবে পড়েছি." Everybody burst laughing. You see, I have not, like you people, read a lot of books, but what little I have read thoroughly and studied it thoroughly. What is the use of reading books? Of course, books are necessary to keep the mind at a high level, but do not think by reading books you have understood the spiritual truth. That's why he says, what is meant by knowledge, what is meant by ignorance. M did not understand till then, he says, his own confession. He thought reading a lot of books gives you knowledge, and not reading books, you remain ignorant. Later on, he came to know that knowledge of God alone is knowledge, and not knowing God is ignorance. তাহার অহংকার তৃতীয়বার চূর্ণ হইতে লাগিল. Mark 1, 2, 3. The first time when Sri Ramakrishna snubbed him, when he heard that he was married and had children, we explained that, try to understand that carefully. Second time, when Sri Ramakrishna snubbed him by saying, "Oh, you are a man of knowledge." When he said his wife is good but ignorant, when he snubbed him, "You were a man of knowledge." Second time. The third time, when he heard that God with form is as true as God without form, God without form and God with form are equally true. You believe in one, it's good enough for you, but do not think the other is false. He has not read it in his books. So his egoism once again got a snubbing, thrashing for the third time. And what a great elevated soul this M is, Master Mahasaya. His confession in his diary. কিন্তু এখনো সম্পূর্ণ হয় নাই, সম্পূর্ণ চূর্ণ হয় নাই, তাই আবার একটু তর্ক করিতে অগ্রসর হইলেন. This Kathamrita, how many times we must have read this? Every time it is so sweet, so elevating, just like Amrita. He says, his ego again got a third blow, but since it has not been fully crushed, he began to argue with Sri Ramakrishna. Then for his ego will be completely crushed. So let us all pray, Lord is in infinite mercy, let him crush our egos. It's a great surgical operation. And becoming egoless, simple, innocent, empty of all the prejudices and bias, completely devoid of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, shall repose, we shall be fully absorbed in the Supreme Being, whose nectarine words in the Kathamrita we have the privilege of discussing. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukampadhrita Vigraham Vai ईशावतारं परमेशमीड्यं तं रामकृष्णं शिरसा नमामः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम तत्सत्। श्रीरामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।